The six eyes, you say? What a divine power. What's up, guys? I'm here, and here we are to do a breakdown / live reaction and analysis of This Is Chris's What If Other Sorcerers Had the Six Eyes in Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, this is an interesting discussion. I actually do have, like, three videos planned, but they're, like, full videos, and I've already kind of glazed on the topic of, like, what I think would happen if some characters got the six eyes, how much of a buff they would get, what weaknesses would erase. But we see This Is Chris has got a whole video on it with a couple six eyes users. I saw Yuta, Megami, and Itadori in the thumbnail, so I'm very, very excited. Let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready?
A 3, a 2,
a 1, go.
The Six Eyes.
What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, please check out This Is Chris. This is his first video of mine that's ever popped up on my feed, and I already see What If Yuta was in the Shibuya incident. I know I'm going to be reacting to his variation of that as well. But please check out This Is Chris. I've already hit the like button. I've already hit the subscribe button, because gosh darn it, I just don't care anymore. I don't want to be subscribed to every content creator. I like to give him a chance. So it's time I give him a chance. It's time to see. Real quick, before we hop into his discussion, I'll be real. The six eyes as a flat line make everyone except Maki and Toji better. Actually, you know what? They'd even, technically, legally speaking, they'd even make Maki and Toji better, but not for the ways that they make every other character better. Because the six eyes, I mean, maybe they innately come with cursed energy, which would mess up Toji and Maki's heavenly restriction. But, like, if it didn't, and they just got the extra perception would be nice on top of their already insane perception. But, like, the six eyes just to basically give you better cursed energy control and no cursed energy limits. Meaning that a character like Itadori probably wouldn't get all too much outside of a perception boost, which wouldn't do much for his physicals, but would mean he would never have to worry about running out of cursed energy for RCT. Spoilers for the manga, by the way. I mean, you're on that other, so presumably you know, but like spoilers for the manga. So right away if you don't want those. But spoilers. And with the six eyes, Yuji would basically have unlimited RCT, just like Gojo does. Extreme efficiency with RCT, just like Gojo does. And he'd be really, really good at punching and kicking, and he'd never have to worry about running out of cursed energy for blood manipulation. In fact, he would basically kind of get a choso effect with blood manipulation, where he would never have to worry about running out of blood, because he could just consistently regenerate it over and over and over and over again. So he'd basically just be better, stronger, faster, more durable choso. That's what he would get from the six eyes, at least in my opinion. This video came out 10 days ago, so yeah, this is well after the fact that Yuji Itadori has blood manipulation. So that's probably going to be a big point that he brings up. For Megami Fushiguro, kind of the same thing, except he doesn't have RCT, and I don't think the six eyes will innately give you RCT. We saw that with Teen Gojo. So at best, he could summon unlimitedly, which is still very, very good. He could essentially make every single complex play he does with the regular amounts of curse energy he has infinitely with the six eyes. Like, he could multi-spawn summon, desummon, spawn again, spawn summon, desummon, and like just keep rotating it, whether it be Max Elephant, Divine Dog, Nue, Orochi if he had it still. Like, he could get a little bit diabolical with it, but unlike someone like Yuji, who would kind of get like a super crazy evolved version of his technique that he couldn't typically use, I don't think the 10 Shadows technically benefit all too much, considering, like, I don't think the six eyes would buff any of the Shikigami. It would just it would lower their summoning cost, which would allow the user to be more creative, but would make the user innately more powerful. The final character he had in the thumbnail was Yuta, and I think Yuta is obviously the one who would benefit the most from the six eyes, because essentially, he'd get limitless. He would just be Gojo with more techniques. Because the only thing the six eyes would do for Yuta is turn his literal greater than Gojo amounts of cursed energy into actual boundless and limitless cursed energy, where he doesn't have to worry about anything. And with the precise manipulation of cursed energy finally being access to him, he could wield limitless, whether it be blue. Since he has RCT, it could be red, purple, unlimited. Like, he could do whatever he wanted if Yuta got the six eyes. So Yuta with the six eyes would easily be the most broken, because he'd just be Gojo plus, and he'd also just become immortal. Because, like, you see how well he could RCT already. Imagine if he had the six eyes level of efficiency and cursed energy control. So those three, the thumbnail, they get crazy. Anyone else in the series that really benefits from it isn't to the same degree as these three. I say Megumi's more on the low end of benefit, but he still gets a benefit. I'd say Itadori's that midpoint where he gets a new level to his technique, but it still doesn't make him anything too crazy. I don't think that necessarily puts him above Gojo or Sukuna or anything. Meanwhile, you give Yuta the 6 eyes, and he probably just verbatim becomes the most broken character in the entire series. Especially if the 6 eyes removes that 5-minute time limit he has on Rika, fully manifested Rika, and his curse technique. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's a monster. But let's see what This Is Chris had to say. I've been yapping way too much. Once again, if you want to check out This Is Chris's videos without my yapping, please check out the original video. It'll be linked in the description down below. Leave a like on the original video. Tell him Pencil sent you if you head on back there and go sub. It'll be worth it. I have a good feeling just based on the editing of this video already, and I'm literally only 0 seconds in. So let's go.
A legendary attribute in Jujutsu Kaisen that gives the user unparalleled cursed energy efficiency and perception. In Gojo's possession, they allowed him to control the absurd limitless technique, which catapulted him to the status of the strongest sorcerer in the modern era. But what if someone else had them? Someone with a different technique like Megumi or Yuta or Todo. Would they become as strong as Gojo? Well, that's
the only one could hypothetically be Yuta, in my opinion. Because remember, the 6 eyes, while extremely potent on their own, are not what make Gojo the strongest. It is the combination of the limitless plus the 6 eyes. It is that combo that makes Gojo so Gojo. Giving it to Todo wouldn't actually do all too much. Todo never seemed to have any issues with his curse energy efficiency. At least it seemed like Boogie Woogie never necessarily had too high of a cost. So giving him 6 eyes, it increases his perception, but it wouldn't increase his bodily reaction speed or anything like that. Probably not. He'd be able to teleport quicker, faster, and perceive things better, and maybe, who knows, maybe able to even lower the cost of cursed energy required for him to use Boogie Woogie, but I don't think Todo would get too much of a buff, and he wouldn't become stronger than Gojo. Megumi wouldn't become stronger than Gojo, unless the 6 eyes magically gave him Maharaga, which they wouldn't do, and Megumi likely still wouldn't be able to beat Maharaga. Only Yuta. Because Yuta would just pull out the limitless. Because essentially the only way you beat Gojo is you do what Sukuna did and come with a hard counter to infinity with the 10 shadows, or just on your own, I guess, such as Space Slash. Or you just have the same thing that Gojo does with more cursed energy and extra Shikigami and a bevy of more techniques. So I think only Yuta could become stronger. But even then, there's the natural question of, well, would the 6 eyes increase Yuta's output? It seems like Yuta's output is just innately lower than Gojo's. But that may also play into Gojo's technique. If you think Yuta and Gojo have either equal outputs or Yuta has higher, then Yuta with the 6 eyes would just be stronger than Gojo. Know that. But if you think that Gojo has a higher output based on his feats and his superior age and stuff like that, then Yuta getting the 6 eyes would close the gap, but then Gojo's experience with the Limitless would still override Yuta. But give Yuta the 6 eyes and a few years of training, and yeah, he's likely beating the brakes off of Gojo. Especially if he starts taking even more and more techniques. But let's see what This Is Chris has to say.
We're exploring today, and at the end I'll tell you which sorcerer I think can use them best. Let's get started with Megumi, because
like I said, okay, we're starting with Megumi. We're kind of already gone over Megumi, but if I had to take a guess, it's gonna be Yuta. Yuta has to be the best. Unless you just give it to Sukuna. If you give the 6 eyes to Sukuna, then he's number 0 in the series, I guess. Like, he's already number 1, so like you just push him even higher because he's already insanely efficient without the 6 eyes. You then give him the 6 eyes and he's actually just a deity. Well, more deific than he already is. But for Megumi, I'm interested to see how he's gonna justify Megumi being like super swole, because once again, outside the perception plus efficiency boost doesn't do too much for Megumi, unless you argue he gets like Toji Maki efficiency boost with his perception, and like suddenly he's able to react on the tiers of like heavenly restriction users and still do all the way crazy wacky combos. But I don't think that would work out that way. I don't think your physical stats change. I think Megumi, if anything, would run into a Sharingan situation where like his perception's super crazy, it's super good, he can see and read all this. He can't do anything with that information though. He would still get punched in the face really, really hard without the ability to recover or fight back. Let's see.
he is one of the people that has the most to gain from the 6 eyes. The 10 Shadows technique is already the single most powerful technique in Jujutsu Kaisen thanks to its versatility, with Shikigami being used.
I'd say it's 1? Not even. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Without Raga, and I know it's a part of the technique, so I can't really say without. But without Raga, the Ten Shadows technique kind of sucks. Or at least not doesn't suck. Suck is rude. Suck is putting it too harshly. But I wouldn't say the Ten Shadows technique is one of the best. Limitless. Cleaviness Mantle. Copy. Heck, Sky Manipulation in some cases. On a good day, Granite Black. Like, there's so many. Heck, Blood Manipulation. Just at times. Because on average, the Ten Shadows technique has great versatility. But you grab the user's hands and they can't do anything. Wow. You slice the user's hands off and they can't do anything. Oh. Like, I don't know. It feels like one of the few techniques that gets in its own way most of the time. But I can see why people call it the strongest. Or one of.
For everything from offense to defense to support. Oh, and it also is a slightly overpowered Shikigami named Maharaga. But the technique does have one fairly big flaw, which is that every Shikigami takes a decent amount of cursed energy to summon, with Max Elephant and Maharaga being the most expensive. This means the user has to think about which Shikigami to use one rather than being able to just spam them. Thinking about how to utilize a cursed technique rather than just being overpowered. Truly the worst fate. But
see the vision.
Saying like that, but it would still be incredibly useful. The perception would also help Boogie Woogie, as being able to tell what's coming next further into the future would give Boogie Woogie even more flexibility. The cursed energy efficiency would of course allow Toto to hit even harder as well, since he would be able to imbue his punches with more cursed energy more often than usual. All of this would make Toto an even bigger threat as a support sorcerer. But honestly, it's hard to say that all of this would make him a super strong sorcerer, because he just doesn't have a cursed technique geared towards offense. Maybe if the 6 eyes help him learn Curse Technique Reversal, that would push him into being a special grade, but it's hard to say exactly what a Curse Technique Reversal for Boogie Woogie would look like. So we're just gonna ignore it and move on to another Kyoto student, and it's one that would undoubtedly be a special.
Okay, Kichibuda. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, that's the thing with Toto. Just not really offensively geared, and I still don't think. I think at best, I don't think. How do I put this? I don't think 6 eyes makes anyone hit harder than their current maximum. I just think it turns every single hit they perform into their current maximum. So essentially, they'd always be operating on 100%. I don't think they're ever going to 120%. Unless they hit that Black Flash. And then they start to get to 120%. But I don't think the 6 eyes is innately boosting anyone's output. I think it's just keeping everyone's output at 100%, at straight gas. And for Toto's RCT thing, I'll save that for a video I've been thinking of. So that'll be for later. But Kokichimuda, yeah. With already special grade tier output and crazy amounts of curse energy stored up over the years, increase that. But the thing is though, that's the question. Unless he started producing it himself, the 6 eyes may do nothing for him. Because it would allow him to control his puppets better, but his puppets are still relying on their own amounts of battery, their own juice for cursed energy. So he probably still burned through a lot of it. So Kokichi either may benefit a lot or won't benefit at all.
Great if they had the 6 eyes. Mekamaru is already an incredibly powerful sorcerer, mainly thanks to his heavenly restriction, which gives him a huge pool of cursed energy and the ability to control his cursed energy across the entire country of Japan. This already lets him fight kind of recklessly, since he doesn't have to show up and worry about bodily damage. And his ultimate Mekamaru was a pretty competent robot. We don't know exactly how the perception aspect of the 6 eyes would work for Mekamaru, because his body is usually pretty far away from everything. So if perception,
I think at best, the main thing the perception of the 6 eyes will allow him to do is essentially allow him to do the pain thing on steroids. Where, like, you know how pain sees through all the different bodies at the same time? And Nagato gets fed with all that information and can act accordingly. I think Mekamaru could just do that. Like, the increased perception would allow him to control, instead of like the 10 Mekamarus he was controlling when he first climbed out of the bathtub, it'd be like 100 or 1,000 Mekamarus, and he's controlling them all, registering all that information and making them all attack at the same time. That's the main thing I can see the perception boost doing. But I still don't think, since the robots are tied to a separate pool of cursed energy, that I think he imbues with them. Like, notably, the 17 years of cursed energy he stored up in Ultimate Mekamaru was stored in Ultimate Mekamaru. It wasn't he himself. I don't think he can achieve those special grade tiers of output because the 6 eyes wouldn't be tied to those stored amounts of cursed energy. So I don't know.
Is based on what the body perceives, which is what's implied. This aspect would probably be completely useless for him, unless he was in his absolute mode, which is where things get really interesting. This is one of the more blatant examples of where the 6 eyes efficiency would be broken, as all of absolute mode's attacks usually take years of cursed energy storage to execute, but with the 6 eyes that would be brought down significantly, meaning Mechamaru might be able to pilot the mech without having to worry about years at all, which is insane. Even Kenjaku said that he had the output of a special grade while in absolute mode, so taking away or severely limiting the only drawback to this beast is a huge deal, and I have no doubt that it would put Mechamaru in the category of special grade. Another sorcerer that
I can see the vision, but I forget. I haven't reread the Mechamaru fight, and I haven't watched it in a while. Isn't it still working on cursed energy he's stored externally? It's not cursed energy tied to he himself. If he could, like, link himself up to the system and consistently feed it cursed energy to essentially substitute the years, then yeah, he'd be broken. Outside of that, though,
could become special grade with the 6 eyes is Choso. But before we get into him, please consider subscribing. Think about it. It's mutually beneficial.
I already have. Have you subscribed to me? I'd really appreciate if you did. Have you liked the video? I'd really appreciate if you did. Please. I'm trying to hit 10K soon. The boy's been fighting for it. But I really appreciate it. And also go sub to This Is Chris. And go like This Is Chris's videos. There will be more of them. I have no idea how many videos this man has, but the Yuta videos already caught my attention. You know I will be there.
You like the content, I like subscribers, we both get more if you subscribe. Anyway, I promise the reason that Choso would be a special grade is not the reason that you may think. For the average blood manipulation user, the 6 eyes would be super useful for increasing the ability to use reverse curse technique, therefore healing the body and replenishing blood as it is used. But Choso is built different, literally. All Death's paintings have a property where they can turn their cursed energy directly into blood, meaning that Choso cannot run out of blood until he runs out of cursed energy. And with the 6 eyes, it's almost impossible to run out of cursed energy, as it was stated by Yuta that Gojo can never truly run out of cursed energy because the 6 eyes will replenish it so quickly. This means with this cursed energy, as it was stated by Yuta that...
Did I not remember that? Yeah, it's not by... I don't think... Once again, I've heard this before. I'm not sure where this can... Because once again, I can just be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. Is it ever stated that it's replenish? I thought he just didn't run out. Because it takes so little. Like, 100 mana meter, every single attack, even Hollow Purple, costs 0.00001% of mana. That's how I always viewed it. But I always hear people say the replenish stuff. But I don't remember there ever being anything implied about replenishing. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong.
Gojo can never truly run out of cursed energy because the 6 eyes will replenish it so quickly. This means with the 6 eyes, Choso would have theoretically infinite blood for him to manipulate. He could drown entire cities with blood, build entire towns out of blood, and do pretty much whatever he wants with it. Like, the upper limit is just so high here. And it gets even crazier when you remember that Choso is able to use the abilities of his brothers as well. And with the 6 eyes, they'd probably be more than just cheap imitations. Anyway, let's move on to Sukuna because I feel like we can't...
Oh, sweet mother of mercy. It does make Sukuna God. That's all you do. But yeah, for Choso, same thing for Itadori. Like, notably, Kamo and Itadori could do the same thing. It would be more inefficient because they'd have to use RCT, but they could do it. And considering Itadori's output seems to be higher than Choso's just based on how they interact, Itadori could do the exact same thing Choso did if he had the 6 eyes. Especially with RCT. He could legit just... And just he could legit, you know how, for my Ben 10 fans out there, y'all remember Eye Guy's chest beam? Yuji could do that with juice and just fire like a maximum force piercing blood straight from his heart. And just boom, and with the 6 eyes, keep restoring it and just drown an entire battlefield. Choso will be able to do it easier though, because he can do that with cursed energy. He wouldn't have to consistently RCT his own blood vessels. So... I see the
video like this without talking about him. But to be honest, I don't know if the 6 eyes really changed Sukuna all that much. See, it was established during the Gojo and Sukuna fight that Sukuna's cursed energy efficiency is already close to what the 6 eyes gives Gojo. If we ignore just how insane that is, that means the boost to cursed energy efficiency from the 6 eyes shouldn't be too much. right? From what we can tell, the 6 eyes doesn't give a bonus to cursed energy efficiency. It just raises efficiency to an extremely high rate. So considering Sukuna's efficiency is already close to that, the 6 eyes wouldn't give him too much of a benefit. It will still be an improvement, but it's a pretty small upgrade, all things considered. I guess the boost to perception is also a nice add-on for him, but he's already incredibly perceptive as it is, so it's hard to say that would be much of an upgrade either. And it's not like he needs it, you know? This dude is so broken as is that giving him another upgrade is just completely unnecessary, which, knowing Gege, means that it might actually happen. At this point, we have just 2 characters left to talk about.
Okay, the 2 characters left. Presumably Yuta and somebody else. But yeah, for Sukuna, the main thing you could argue is that he could do what Gojo does. AKA consistently RCT his entire body. At all times. And in considering Sukuna's level of efficiency and understanding of cursed energy, he could probably do the domain refresh thing even quicker. And he could essentially never stop dismantling and cleaving. He could just have it on 100% at all times. With his already existing efficiency plus the 6 eyes, and with the extra perception, Sukuna's dismantles and cleaves could go down to something like the atomic level. If we're really jacking it, just because of how deep the 6 eyes go. Remember, they allow you to see and perceive cursed energy on the atomic level. So Sukuna could probably make a dismantle so precise and tiny that it would split atoms. So Sukuna would still be broken with the 6 eyes. I'm going to make a full video talking about that now. Call me Chris, you've given me the idea.
And the next one is one of the most interesting characters to give the 6 eyes to, Mai. This is because Mai is considered...
Ah, yeah. Creation, Yorozu, or Mai with the 6 eyes, some of the most broken characters in the entire series. They're one of the ones I was thinking of making a video on. So I won't give too many of my ideas because it could go crazy. Essentially, think of infinite perfect spears. Infinite perfect spear. Think of a super large perfect spear. Or, even crazier, a super tiny perfect sphere. Many of them.
To be among the weakest characters in the show, but she doesn't have to be. See, there are 2 things holding her back. The first is her pitiful cursed energy, and the second is her cursed technique being construction, as the technique requires a lot of cursed energy to use and is highly inefficient in its usage. This means Mai might be the person that can gain the most from the 6 eyes, as they will fix both the issues with her cursed energy output and her issues with efficiency as well. We already saw what a good sorcerer with construction could do in Yozuru, as she was capable of holding her own against 15-finger Sukuna for a little bit, which really puts Mai to shame considering she couldn't even beat base Maki. So with the efficiency of the 6 eyes, Mai might actually be a useful sorcerer. She might not even need the efficiency of an insect to become as powerful as Yozuru was. And if she does discover that secret, then she could probably surpass the Heian era sorcerer. And that brings us to the final person I want to talk about.
Okay. I won't comment too much. I have a whole video planned for if Mai or Yorozu were to get the 6 eyes. But he's right. Just think of any structure in the entire series. And remember that Mai and Yorozu can make cursed tools. Remember those 2 things. And just get to thinking.
Which is, of course, Yuta. Yuta with the 6 eyes would be absolutely broken. Yeah. He would make even Gojo look like a small child in terms of strength. He already has a larger pool of cursed energy than Gojo himself, so giving Yuta the efficiency of the 6 eyes would absolutely push him into the top tier of sorcerers alongside Gojo and Sukuna. Pretty much everything we see Gojo do, Yuta would be able to do now as well. Restoring his technique with reverse curse technique, opening his domain multiple times in one day, surviving Sukuna's domain while it's open, and probably a lot more. Increased efficiency would also allow him to go absolutely ballistic with his curse technique as well. Not only would he actually be able to use the limitless technique if he copied it, he could also use more costly techniques without having to worry about his cursed energy expenditure. This means he could just rattle off any maximum techniques he wants. If he copies curse manipulation, he can use Uzumaki. He could launch hollow purples with very little thought about it. Pretty much anything he can copy, he can use, and use without worry. He should also be be able to store more curse techniques in his brain thanks to being able to heal his brain constantly like Gojo did for infinity. On top of this, he would also be in a great position as a support sorcerer as well, as he is one of the few sorcerers that is able to output reverse curse technique. With the 6 eyes, he basically becomes the ultimate healer, being able to copy Shoko's technique and never. On top of this, he would be able to copy this use with. On top of this, he would also be in a great position at.
But the screen went black, alright? I don't know what's happening.
They support sorcerer as well, as he is one of the few sorcerers that is able to output reverse curse technique. With the 6 eyes, he basically becomes the ultimate healer, being able to copy Shoko's technique and never running out of reverse cursed energy even if reverse curse technique is weaker when used on others. Then there's also Rika, but it's kind of hard to tell exactly how the 6 eyes would affect her. She's fueled by Yuta's cursed energy, but his total cursed energy isn't changing. Just how much she uses for techniques is. Does this mean Yuta would have more cursed energy to dedicate to Rika? In theory, yeah, but that doesn't mean he would actually use more.
Well, technically, Rika's not Yuta. We're not tied to Yuta. She actually is boundless cursed energy. Here's the thing. That's the thing about that official translation. If you go by the TCB translations, Rika's still separate. Rika has a separate amount of cursed energy. In fact, it's stated in the TCB translations that Rika has her boundless cursed energy, and she gives that to Yuta. Remember, Rika's an external storage system. Rika's not really an extension of Yuta nor his technique. That's why she doesn't disappear when he goes through domain burnout. She stays there because she's separate but tied to him. Kind of like a party member. They aren't actually tied to your main character, but they're there, if you know what I'm saying, for my RPG players out there. So Rika wouldn't be affected by the 6 eyes, unless you gave her a 6 eye. But even then, that wouldn't do much, because she already has boundless curse energy. So, it wouldn't matter. But if you go by official translations, then I can see where he's getting the whole, Yuta fuels Rika, because that's what the official translations say, but that makes no sense. I'll talk about that. But the official translations for Yuta's abilities are weird. They're weird. Very weird.
Cursed energy on her, because it can just use that cursed energy on other cursed techniques. Plus, Rika is already extraordinarily powerful as is, so it's not like she really needs the extra cursed energy either. So which sorcerer besides Gojo makes the best use of the 6 eyes? Well, if we go by raw strength, then it is Sukuna, considering he is the strongest without them. But who has the most to gain from them? My first instinct may be Mai, considering she has such a low starting point. But to be honest, even with the 6 eyes, I don't think the construction technique is all that broken. Plus, Mai doesn't really have the motivation to become a strong sorcerer, so that will affect her as well. Personally, I think the most likely to gain the most from the 6 eyes is either Choso or Yuta. In both their cases, the 6 eyes vastly increase the advantages their techniques give them, as we have already covered. And if I was to pick between these two, I'd have to say the answer is probably Yuta. Copy is just such an overpowered ability that pretty much every advantage the other sorcerers we talked about today would get can be gained by Yuta as well. The advantages of the 10 shadows, the advantages of Boogie Woogie, the advantages of construction, it all belongs to him. Ironically, the only advantage that Yuta can't get is Choso's infinite blood because he is not a Death's Painting. Really the only thing.
He could get that too. It would be more efficient, but he could get it. He could definitely get his hands on that. It just take longer. If that. Considering Yuta's output is clearly higher than Choso's. He could do it. So could Yuji, if they both have the 6 eyes.
That might hold Yuta back is the potential 5-minute timer, but I don't know if that even really matters, considering in those 5 minutes he'd probably be able to summon Mahoraga, use Hollow Purple, open his domain, make a perfect spear, and more depending on what curse techniques he's copied. He would just be so unbelievably broken with the 6 eyes, and I really can't see anyone else coming close. So thank you all for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you again in a little bit.
Alright, Kingdom Hearts 2 boss run might get silly. By the Gamers Joint. Would be a shame if I watched that later. But with that being the case, where is it? Where is my divine blade? I knew I stumbled across a good channel. Gosh darn it. Yep, call me Chris. That was... No, I keep saying call me Chris. I'm thinking of a different channel. But this is Chris. Very, very, very good video. I agree. You've given me some ideas, my good friend. Once again, I'm throwing out collab would always be appreciated. I highly doubt this is Chris is going to make it all the way to the end of this video. But with that being the case, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the live reaction. If you think there's anything I missed, let me know. If you guys have any ideas for who could get buffed from the 6 eyes, that's probably a little mini-series I plan to do. How much would someone get from the 6 eyes? I already have one planned for Yuji. I'm going to add one for Megami now. Toto could be interesting. I'm going to probably run through all these characters, but give them their own little videos, because I think there's a lot you could talk about, especially if you go in and talk about some of their existing matchups. So there is so much more fun to be had. However, if you made all the way to the end of this if you made all the way to the end of this video, please leave I7, not I6, I7 in the comment section. EYE, not just I7, like EYE. In the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Well, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also want to become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, Atkins Void, Astro, Red Wolf 4765, Eternal Flame, and Teen Mitgao. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Panda Goat, Midnight Lord 21, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Ignil, and EHack1. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big thank you to our $10 member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Joaquin and Idemo Kame. Along with another juicy thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. And I'd like to give a final Giga Gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.